Assalamu alaikum, and welcome back to Travel Dairy. I am your host, Sharjeel, and today I want you to slow down with me, just for one gentle evening in Gilgit City.
And I am Abdullah. Most people blast through Gilgit like it is just a fuel stop between all the famous valleys, but that one evening we actually walked the city, that changed the whole trip for me.
Exactly. So picture this. We had just finished a long drive from Hunza. You know that tired where your back is stiff, your brain is slow, and the only thing you want is a bed and silence?
I remember I literally dropped my bag on the hotel bed and said very confidently, "Bas, aaj kahin nahi jana. I am done."
And I almost agreed. The plan was shower, dinner in the same hotel, maybe scroll the phone, asleep by 10. Gilgit was just a transit town that night in my head. But then I pulled back the curtain. There was this soft golden light outside, that pre-Maghrib glow. You could see people walking on the main road, small shops opening their lights. It had that city energy, but not aggressive, just alive.
I looked at that and I thought, if we don't step out now, we will only remember Gilgit as that place where the bed was okay and the Wi-Fi was decent. And that felt wrong for a city that is basically the heart of northern Pakistan. And that is the hook of this episode. We said yes to one small evening walk instead of staying in the room. No grand plan. Just, let's step outside, stay on main, lit roads, and be back within an hour. All right, let me set the scene. Our hotel was in a typical mid-range area of Gilgit, not some fancy resort, just a practical place near the main road. When we checked the time, there was maybe an hour and a half of light left, plus that gentle blue hour after Maghrib.
And preparation was simple. You do not need a full trekking kit for this. We carried a wallet, a little bit of cash separate just in case, our phones, and each of us took a light jacket because Gilgit evenings can get surprisingly cool even when the day was warm.
If you are listening and planning something similar, think in terms of comfort, not gear. Closed shoes so you can walk without worrying, a charged phone, and maybe a small bottle of water. And always ask your hotel reception, भाई यहाँ आसपास हल्की सी safe walk कहाँ तक हो सकती है?
That part is important. We actually did that. The receptionist smiled and instantly drew a little imaginary loop in the air. यहाँ से सीधा मेन रोड, फिर नदी की तरफ, फिर वापस इसी रास्ते से आ जाना. रोशनी भी है, लोग भी होंगे.
So that became our plan. A simple loop. No side alleys, no shortcuts. Main road to the Gilgit River, see what the mood feels like, and then decide how far we want to go. As soon as we stepped out, the city reminded us that it is a hub. You could hear bikes passing, a bus honking from far away, someone closing a shop shutter, kids laughing as they ran to buy snacks before going home.
Yeah, and the air. It was that mix of dust from the road and coolness from the mountains. Not super fresh like a meadow, but honest city air. There was that faint smell of samosas and chai from a nearby stall, too. That always improves my mood instantly.
We followed the main road, and even in those first 5 minutes, something shifted. When you have been in a car the whole day, just feeling your feet moving, noticing people finishing their day, it gently resets your brain.
We also had one simple walking rule that I really recommend. If there's a choice between a dark shortcut and a slightly longer but better lit main street, always choose the light and the people. In Gilgit, that usually means sticking to the main bazaar side and roads near the river that have regular traffic.
Exactly. And remember, things change. So even if we had a nice experience on a certain path, you still check in with locals the day you arrive. Safety is not one fixed Google map line. It is a conversation with the people who live there.
After 10-15 minutes, we started feeling that presence of the river before we actually saw it. The air got cooler, you could hear a low, constant rush, and there are those gaps between buildings where you catch a glimpse of water reflecting the last light.
And then suddenly, there it was, the Gilgit River, wide and strong, carrying all that glacier water, cutting right through this busy city. There is something magical about that contrast. Office workers walking home on one side, and this wild river flowing like it belongs to no one.
We found a stretch with a simple railing and a bit of open space. No fancy promenade, just a place where people naturally drift to in the evening. Some students were leaning on the railing, talking. A couple of aunties were walking slowly,
and 2 kids were sharing a packet of chips, dropping half of them, of course, on the ground.
If you are tired from a long drive, honestly, even just reaching this riverside and standing there for 10 minutes is worth changing out of your pajamas for. You don't have to do a long walk. Just be there. Let the river sound wash some of the road noise out of your head.
Now, Gilgit is famous for its bridges, and on that evening loop, one small pedestrian suspension bridge became the highlight. From where we were standing, we could see it in the distance. Just a simple structure stretching across the water, with a few people moving slowly back and forth.
The first thought in my head was, obviously, let's go stand in the middle of that. I love these bridges. The slight sway, the sound of the planks, the view down to the water. It is like a tiny adventure built into a city.
While my first thought was, how stable is this, and how nervous will I be once we are in the middle? So if you were like me, slightly cautious but curious, here is how we handled it.
We walked up to the start of the bridge and just spent a minute watching how locals used it. A school kid ran across like it was nothing. A man with grocery bags walked calmly. The bridge was not dramatic in their eyes at all. That told us a lot.
Then we stepped on, slowly. You can feel that gentle bounce with each step. If you are nervous, my tip is do not look straight down. Look ahead towards the opposite side or at the mountains beyond. And keep one hand lightly on the railing. Breathe. You are just walking one plank at a time.
And there is no ego in this. If you reach 20% of the way and your body says, this is enough adventure for tonight, it is totally fine to stop, enjoy the view from there, and go back. Even standing at the entrance of the bridge gives you a different angle on the river and the city lights.
For us, we went maybe halfway, stopped and just listened. Traffic in the distance, a bike crossing on the motor bridge beside us, the rush of water underneath, and that slightly cool wind on our faces. That moment alone, I think, justified not staying in the room.
On the way back from the bridge, we both felt lighter, more awake. That is when we noticed a tiny shop a little off the main road. It looked like a mix between a bookshop and a stationery store, with stacks of notebooks, pens hanging in strips, and a few school books in the window.
You know those shops where everything is almost on top of everything, but somehow the shopkeeper knows exactly where each thing is? This was that type. We went in and immediately he looked up with that classic local shop smile, like, "Acheji, catcha he."
Now, instead of buying the usual fridge magnet or keychain, we decided to look for a small, useful souvenir. I ended up picking a simple local notebook. Nothing fancy, just with Gilgit printed in small letters on the corner. The kind of thing a student there might actually use.
And I grabbed a blue pen and a tiny pack of sticky notes. Very glamorous, I know. But those are the things you actually use later at home. Every time you open that notebook or use that pen, you get a quick flashback of the shop, the river, that evening.
If you do something similar, keep the interaction simple and respectful. Greet the shopkeeper properly, smile, ask, "Ye local cheese dikhaye zara?" and choose something light and easy to carry. No pressure to spend a lot. It's more about connecting for a moment with the everyday life of the city. By this time, the sky had shifted from golden to that deep blue. Streetlights were fully on, and our stomachs had started sending very clear signals. So the next mission on our little loop was find a clean, basic place for dinner nearby.
Here's the thing in transit towns. You can lose half an hour scrolling reviews on your phone, or you can use a few simple checks. We looked for a place that was reasonably busy but not chaotic, where families were sitting, not just a group of heavy truck drivers, and where we could see the chapati being made fresh.
We ended up in a small, bright restaurant. Plastic chairs, simple tables, tiled walls, nothing Instagram fancy. But the smell of dal and fresh roti was so comforting. We kept the order simple. 1 vegetable dish, 1 dal, fresh chapati, and chai.
I still remember that first bite of hot chapati with dal after the whole day of driving. It is a different kind of happiness. And the best part? While we were eating, we could quietly watch the evening life outside. People grabbing takeaway, a kid sleeping on his father's shoulder, a student hunched over his phone, probably messaging friends.
When you're tired, you do not need a perfect restaurant. You need a place where you feel comfortable. Clean enough, friendly staff, food that feels like home rather than a 3-hour photo shoot. Gilgit has plenty of these small, honest spots. Let your eyes and your gut both decide. After dinner, the walk back to the hotel felt completely different from our walk out. The roads were calmer, you could hear the river in the background like a low soundtrack. Some shots were closing, metal shutters rolling down with that echoing sound. A few still had warm yellow lights spilling on the street.
And I remember one small moment. A man on a motorcycle passed us, very slowly, one hand on the handle, the other carrying a bag of naan, probably going home. It was such an ordinary thing, but it grounded me. This is not a tourist show. It is a real city where real evenings happen every day.
By the time we reached the hotel gate, my whole idea of Gilgit as just the in-between place had changed. That one gentle loop had given the city a personality for me. Bridges and rivers, students and stationery shops, hot chapati, and that blue hour light.
And the best part is, it was all very beginner-friendly. No intense trekking, no complicated navigation, just a safe, simple evening outside instead of another forgettable night inside.
So if you ever find yourself in Gilgit for just one night, here is an easy evening loop you can adapt. 1. Ask your hotel for a short, safe walking circuit on main lit roads. 2. Walk towards the river around sunset. Stay where other people are, and listen to the city settle down. 3. If you see a small shop that feels inviting, a bookshop, stationery store, or even just a general store, go in, buy something small and useful, and say salam properly.
4. Choose a clean, basic restaurant that feels comfortable to you. Order simple food and enjoy watching local life. And 5. Walk back the same way you came. No need to explore every corner at night. Just end the loop with a calm, familiar route.
Remember, your comfort and safety come first. Conditions change, so always adjust based on local advice, the season, and how you are feeling that day. If your body says, "Tonight I just need rest," that is also a valid travel story.
But if you do say yes to that small evening walk, I think Gilgit will surprise you the way it surprised us. It will stop being just a name on the road sign and start becoming a real memory in your travel diary.
If you want help planning your own little loop, we have put together a simple, printable mini-map for Gilgit with safety notes, walking tips, and a few easy food ideas. You can find it on our website. Just look for this episode, Lanterns, Bridges, and Bookshops, and download it before your trip.
Keep traveling gently, keep noticing the in-between places, and maybe your next favorite memory will be from a city you almost ignored.
This was Sharjeel with Abdallah from Travel Diary. Khudafiz, and I will meet you in the next journey.